Nice to see all of you. Before we begin this morning service, I'm going to give you a lineup of our program. And for those of you who do not know me, my name is Ralph Honda, and I will be your chairperson for today's service. We will begin with the ringing of the kancho, or the calling bell, for everyone to gather. And the kancho will be a short 3 rings. After that, I will have opening remarks and will then introduce Kenji Sensei, who will read the Hyobyakumon, the intention of the service. Sensei will then lead the chanting of the Sambutsuge, and that will be followed by his New Year's Dharma message. Kenji Sensei will then introduce the singing of the Ondukusan, and then he will have closing meditation, which will end the spiritual part of the service. And then we will ask our president, Luan Lee, to give a few words of greeting for the new year. And then we will go into announcements, closing remarks, and then our breakout room hospitality session. So that is the program for today's gathering. So at this time, I will ring the kancho, which will begin the service. And from point on, if you can all remain muted throughout the service. Thank you.
Good morning. We are gathered here today electronically under the light of Amida Buddha, which we experience as wisdom and compassion. This service commemorates the first day of the new year. We mark it as the beginning of a new cycle. Our attendance here today signifies our aspiration to follow the Dharma, the path of the Nembutsu. We awaken to the gifts received by the efforts of others and vow to participate in awakening others to the benefits of interdependence. We express our great joy and gratitude by voicing the Nembutsu. Gassho, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Sammanda, Sammanda. Please join me as we settle our minds by chanting Sambutsuge. Ogen Gigi Ijin Mugoku Nyoze Enyo Muyo Tosha Nichigatsu Mani Shuko Enyo Kaishitsu Onpe Yunyaku Jumoku Nyorai Yoken Chosei Murin Shogaku Daion Oryu Jippo Kaimon Shojin Sanmai Chie Itoku Muryo Shusho-E Ujin Taizen Shobutsu Hokai Bujin Jin no Kugo Gai Tai Mumyo Yokunu Seison Yomu Nin no Shishi Jintoku Muryo Kukun Kodai Chie Jinyo Komyo Iso Shindo Daisen Ganga Sabutsu Zaisho O Kado Shoji Nifu Gedatsu Fusei Joi Kainin Shojin Yoze Sanmai Chie Ijo Bosei Tokubutsu Fugyo Shigan Isai Kuku Isa Dai An Keshi Ubutsu Yakusen Nokuman Muryo Daisho Shunyo Goja Kuyo Isai Chito Shobutsu Funyo Gudo Kensho Fugyaku Hi Goja Shobutsu Seikai Bufu Kage 無臭節道光明失所天使小国尿税精進異人難量量が差物国土第一号宗奇妙道場超絶国尿内音二無闘争ガト愛民道脱一切実法来所新熱症状意図が国慶楽安穏鉱物神妙税が心象おつがんの日力少々欲実法生存知恵無下上領子孫知が心領軽量心死食俗中家業精進民主福家南万ダブ南万ダブ南万ダブ南万ダブ南万ダブ南万ダブ願にしくどく平等正祭道運無大心お嬢安楽Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. 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 Good morning. I want to wish everyone a happy new year. Akemashite omedetou gozaimasu. Feliz año nuevo. Happy to see so many of you joining us today on Zoom. It's unfortunate that many people can't join us because of perhaps their limitations with technology. And yet somehow each of us is in a different physical place, and yet we're all together. We can see each other. I think it's real special. And so I want to make a comparison with this electronic thing that's happening and our spirituality. Because, you know, there are electrons flying through the air. So I'm wondering, are we seeing really each other? Or are we just seeing electrons that kind of look like us? So this is my question. And, you know, 100 years ago, something like this was unimaginable. You know, they couldn't really think of it. But at that time, they had a wonderful new technology called the telephone, where people could hear other people in distant places, and electrons would be running through a wire. But now we have these little electrons running through the air. And so it's something that actually the Buddha and the masters knew over 2,000 years ago, that something connects us all. And we kind of know this, that, you know, this thing that connects us, we're in different places and yet we feel connected. And it's also something similar. We're alive, and afterlife, we're still connected. And what we call this is interdependence. We are all connected. And this happens not only at the human level, but the animal level and the plant level. And the one message of this Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, is our oneness with all life. And what that might mean is this, that there are little electrons or photons of light. And the Buddha, Amida Buddha, is known as light and life. And so these photons or energy bits connect us. And then there's life, and we don't know what those little bits are, but they animate all of us. So light and life. Now, we shouldn't take this for granted, because when we lose one of those, we're concerned and we see how important it is. That when there is no light, we see how much we need light to see what's going on. And life, when we lose life, we see how important it is for connection. Now, this past year of 2020, as we all know, has been very difficult for all of us. Our whole lifestyle has changed. The way we gather or we can't gather, our jobs, school, even meeting at church, or even gathering as a family. And so everything has changed. And the cause, of course, we say is COVID-19. But there's also another cause, a virus of ignorance. And it's just that there are large portions of our population that is not following the truth of the virus. And so they are going around without masks and not being socially distant. And therefore, this virus has spread. And so right now, almost 10 months after its introduction into our country, we're experiencing the worst destruction of this virus. And so when we have something this serious, we look for an answer. And fortunately for us Buddhists, the Buddha has given us an answer. It's the path of truth. And it is this path of interdependence, knowing that we are all connected. And so to keep the virus from spreading, we know that we do have to keep distance, and that it does take all of us because we are connected with each other. Now, Buddhism is about practice. There are two things we can think about. One is shifting our minds, shifting it from illusion to what is true. And the next would be taking a course of action to alleviate that suffering. Now, the Buddha sat in meditation until he received enlightenment. And he sat and contemplated and felt good about that. But then after a few weeks, he was compelled to stand up, to turn the wheel of Dharma, the wheel of truth. And for the next 45 years, he taught us what we call Buddhism, or a path of awakening, so that we can alleviate as much suffering as we can. So with that, our practice as Shin Buddhists is practice, and we do have the Nembutsu. But what is important here is the experience of Nembutsu. So what I have been suggesting recently is that initially, when we notice that things are off-centered, we first sit quietly and we put our two hands together in Gassho. Now, the left and the right symbolize opposite sides, because we know as humans we see things in duality. Everything seems to be in opposition. But in Gassho, the either or becomes both and, oneness. And just having this posture affirms that we are okay with all the suffering and the negative aspects of our life, but it's also equaled or balanced with the good parts. And so this posture really has us accepting life as it is. And of course, we have the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, which is an expression of gratitude and shifting our minds from what we don't have to what we do have and appreciating that. Now, thank you and Namo Amida Butsu is just the first step. The second step might be practice, doing something that can alleviate suffering. Now, as Shin Buddhists, we go forward, knowing that we don't have all the answers, but we move forward with humility, really respecting the other side, and we move toward truth. And that what we do is we're guided by whether we're bringing people together or whether we're separating them, whether the truth is bringing joy or bringing anger. Those are our guides as we move forward. And so Shinran gave us a path for us ordinary people, and that we have a path of awakening and are constantly saying the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu reminds us of this interconnection, and that with all the hardships we have, we also have the benefit of the efforts of others for our benefit. So this year, I want to emphasize the experience of practice, and to practice ways of experiencing this Nembutsu. It's not just a set of words. And you may discover that the more we understand and practice and experience the Nembutsu, life will get better. Our relationships will get better. Our outlook on life will get better. And that's what I've been trying to do for the past 7 years. And if you've heard my talks, it sounded good. That's good. And I appreciate that. And some of you have been practicing. And those who have know that it's been a benefit. But for others, if you're just hearing the talks and feeling pretty good about it and not practicing, your life may not have changed. And so I really want to emphasize this thing about looking inside, seeing our part in the whole, within the whole world, and then to move toward truth. Now, in Japan, this was not necessary because the whole culture is based on many principles of Buddhism. But here in America, where things are different, we may need to do something to wake us up. So I hope I can do more to help you practice and appreciate the experience of the Nembutsu, because what that will bring is joy into our lives. And one way to do this is to join us on Wednesday nights for our Buddhism 1, 2, 3, where we have a nice discussion and we could talk about the things we may mention in our Sunday Dharma talks. But again, it's an active way of listening to each other, because there are many ways that we can experience the Nembutsu. So this is one way of making the Shin Dharma true and real. So in 2021, I hope we can get together in person at the temple, and it'll be great to be with each other. Now, at this time, I do have a sad announcement for me. Karen and I will be ending our assignment here in San Diego sometime this summer. We are returning to San Jose, where we have 2 grandsons, and Karen's mother is over 101 years old, and we'd like to spend more time with her, and also, of course, with our grandsons. We've really enjoyed our time here in San Diego. We appreciate the support and friendliness and all the things people have done for us. And so it's been a wonderful experience, and I really appreciate everyone and want to thank everyone for everything you've done. So for now, let's follow the health guidelines, watch how we gather, make sure we wear masks, and really be together whenever we can on Zoom on the many occasions that we have. And hopefully it may be soon that we can gather again at the temple. So again, please join me in expressing our deepest appreciation with the Nembutsu. Gassho, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandas, Naman. Next, we will sing Agatha Ondukusan. Please keep yourself muted, but join us in singing the Ondukusan too in both Japanese and English. Reverend Laverne Imori recorded a session by Reverend Umitani of the Moiliili Hongwanji Temple in Honolulu. He plays on guitar, and this is his teenage daughter who is singing. So please join us in singing Ondukusan.
Shusho-E
Thank you very much. Before we have our announcements and a word from our board president, Luan Lee, I'd like to close this service portion with a short meditation and reading. So please join me in Gassho. Rare is it to obtain human life, and difficult to encounter a Buddha's appearance in the world. Hard is it to attain the wisdom of entrusting. Should you meet with and hear this teaching, pursue it with diligence. Shinran in collected works. Gassho, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you for being here. Enjoy your conversations in the breakout room. I'd like to thank Kimberly Cruz and Bill Teague, who did a lot of the technical work here, Ralph Honda for chairing, and Reverend Laverne Imori for her help with the Ondukusan and other things, actually some of the technical work too. So thank you, everyone. And now I'll turn it back to Ralph and Luan.
Thank you very much, Sensei, for your message today and leading our service. We are all very sad that you and Karen will be leaving us, ending your assignment here in San Diego later this year. But, you know, we're very appreciative for all that you have done and brought us closer together in sharing the Dharma throughout our Sangha and helping us grow stronger in that regard. You know, we've faced a lot of obstacles this past year, as you mentioned, but being able to share the Dharma continues to be a strong point for all of us. And we are very grateful for you and to Karen for sharing that. And we know that you will continue. You'll be able to enjoy your grandchildren and Karen's mother and mother-in-law and family members up in the San Jose area. But we will have a lot more opportunities between now until it's time to say goodbye. At this time, I'd like to ask our temple president, Luan Lee, for her New Year's greeting.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. I know you're all muted, so I don't expect you to answer, but good morning. So nice to see everyone on Zoom if we can't see each other in person. But what a year. I mean, it's been crazy, but one good thing I have to show you, and many of you know already, but I have a new granddaughter. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? Anyway, that's Avery. And I'm just so lucky that I was able to have her with me in this time. So thankful. I'm sorry. But I feel so lucky. And I know many haven't been so lucky. So, but I'm very thankful. And I'm also, on behalf of the temple, we also want to thank Sensei and Karen for your service this last few years. I'm sorry. But also thanking all the ministerial assistants and for this taking over this year and helping us get through 2020. Also, thank you to Bill for your help with the web, and Kimberly for your Zoom master, and for everyone else that helped, the treasurers that been helping all year long, and Linda, our secretary, for running it basically by herself, and for the board of directors for helping me get through it, and all the affiliated group leaders, and then the Sangha. I just really appreciate everybody. But I want to say Happy New Year to everyone and to a bright 2021. Thank you so much for the Sangha, to everyone for helping me and the temple. I'm on.
Thank you very much, Lynn. You know, we really appreciate all that you do for us in leading our temple. And, you know, we really appreciate your leadership over all these years. And there's no need to be sorry about things because we continue to move forward and grow as a temple. And we really thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do have some announcements. You know, while the temple is closed, remains closed, you're all welcome to participate in the events that we hold virtually live on Zoom and our temple's YouTube channel. And then highlights of upcoming events for January include the January 3rd Shotsuki Hoyo Memorial Service, which will include English and Japanese Dharma messages. And on January 17th will be our first major service of the year, which is Honko, commemorating Shinran Shonin's memorial. Reverend Ron Miyamura, resident minister of the Midwest Buddhist Temple in Chicago, will deliver the Dharma message. Activities on Zoom include sutra chanting, held on Saturdays at 1 p.m., Qigong classes on Sunday at 9:30, Buddhism 123 on Wednesdays at 7, and then Dharma School will resume on January 10th, starting at 10 a.m. The Sangha is encouraged to participate in the temple's annual general membership meeting that will take place on Sunday, January 31st at 11 a.m. For more information, you can refer to the temple's January Busse script newsletter, both print or online, for a list of all the activities with details, or you may call the temple for more information. Before we close today's service, I'd like to acknowledge individuals for their participation. Of course, Kenji Sensei, he acknowledged those who were able to bring today's gathering together. And I'd like to also thank Luann for her heartfelt welcome on New Year's for all of us. And to our breakout room leaders today, who include Laverne Sensei, Junko Kajita, Chelsea Koga, Karen Tom, Ann Ong, Arturo Rubio, Monty Ryan, Sharon Sasaki, Reverend Marybeth Smithy-Smith, and Lisa Umekubo. Thank you for your efforts, and thank you everyone for your participation. And in closing, as we move forward into 2021, we will continue to patiently await with optimism the day that we are able to return to some sense of normalcy. Hopefully that day will come soon when we will be able to gather together, enjoying in person, enjoying our spiritual home at the temple, sharing the Dharma and the friendships we have with everyone. In the meantime, temple activities will remain virtual. And remember, we are all in this together. At some point today, do not forget to raise a glass with your favorite beverage in celebration of the new year and give a toast in appreciation for a healthy and safe 2021. Thank you very much for your participation. Arigatou gozaimashita.